Yo, JD here, Limitless, and we are back on the F1 2021 as always. And we are driving at a track that is probably the most unpopular track to drive on the Formula 1 game, and definitely one of the most unpopular in real life. And that is the Sochi Autodrome in Russia. I literally never see anyone do this track unless they do a league race or career mode race. But the curves around here are an absolute nightmare. And we're going to try it now in a 25% race. So as usual, it's going to be a fairly long video without many cuts at all. And this race was actually a pretty good one. So we're going to start in the back row, custom grid. Trying to get all the fast guys to start at the back here. So as the lights go out, we're not really going to be in a rush. We're just going to let everyone sort themselves out going down into turn one. You can see we've got people like Sparks, Panther, Kyle, Fab Ferrari, very fast drivers in here. So we're just going to let everyone do their business going through into this turn one. And you can already see there's a McLaren facing backwards and another guy as well. So that's 2 positions gained. And this corner is really fun because you gain so much slipstream, but you could lose the car so easily. So we're going to think about trying to go for a switchback. Not quite, so we're just going to stay on the racing line here and go around the outside of Sparks and Panther as well. Well, actually, no, Sparks is ahead. That was Panther. And what we're going to do here, running into the back of the Haas because he's not going particularly fast for that corner. Let's see who blinks first. We get just ahead of the slap bus. Someone else who I race with quite often in lobbies. And now we're into P16. So far, it's so good. Here's the Haas. Almost spins round. And yeah, a little bit more carnage there. Getting this guy. That's up into P12 now. So a really good start. The Haas goes defensive. So we're going to try and go around, potentially around the outside. But we're not going to quite have enough grip on these tyres here. He drifts out very, very wide here. And I think he gets caught on the curb. And we have just been collected with him, which is very frustrating because we're actually on for a good racing. So, but as usual, we're just going to keep on persisting. You can see the guys already crossed the lines. You can see the leaders are a long way in front here. And we're using the Sochi setup that I just did a time trial with. So if you want to know what this setup is, then watch that video and you will be able to see there. So we're back at the grid again, and we're going to do our best to try and make our way through the field, as there is a Mercedes slowing down, which is Sparks, because I think he wants to have a little bit more of a race with me rather than cruising up through the field without much competition. So he's joined me at the back, so we're going to try and take 2 of going through the field here. So these curbs are absolutely lethal, but the ones after this are probably even worse. So I really do like this track actually. It's definitely not a fan favorite, especially in real life. It's really not great for the racing, but in terms of the game, I actually really do like it because it really punishes you. You have to get everything right. This guy just decides to let me go, so that's always nice when someone does that. But on the game, it's actually very technical and it's very hard to be consistently fast around here. I've always found it quite a bit of a challenge. Sparks is trying to go down the inside, so we leave him just enough room, managing just to keep the position there. But you can see someone else, Panther, is spinning around again. Another FRA guy here, and he's going very slow through this apex, but he decides to let me go. So everyone's being very nice in these lobbies, and I have to say the lobbies I've been doing, as I said, they've been absolutely amazing. The racing's been so good. Pretty much every race has always been YouTube worthy. So if you want to join these, I usually go live about 12:30, 1 PM UK time, and I post it on my Instagram as well. So those are the kind of times I go live with open lobbies. And let me know if you want me to stream these as well. I'm thinking of maybe to start stream maybe 1 or 2 of these per week. It's been a long time since I've streamed, so just let me know if you want me to do that. But making our way up into P12 now. The leaders are quite a long way away, so we're going to have to really try and use any pace we have to see what we can do. See, the gap in front is about 2.1 seconds. on these medium tyres, but we are doing the alternate strategy here, and the aim is just to get the DRS zone as quick as I can. If I can get it on this lap, the end of this lap, that'll be really good, because you always just want to try and save as much ERS as possible. But this DRS zone is insanely powerful, as we're not even going to fight this against Sparks here. It's very, very powerful. It's a very long straight, actually, that bit of straight. You come off with quite a bit of speed as well, so very, very OP with the DRS going through into there. You can see the leaders crossed the line already, so we've got a hard task. If we want to even get a podium in this race, then we really do have to get a move on. As I've said before, the power between a medium, the difference between a medium and a soft tyre, a Sparks does the fastest lap with the aid of that DRS, but the difference between compounds are pretty big on this game, and I've got a lot of videos coming out in the future where you will be able to see that quite extensively, as we're just trying to get through it. You can see a little bit unsettled from Sparks and the exit there. I think on this track it's just all about a consistency rather than just going for it every lap, because it's just so easy to lose time and make a mistake as we go through these corners very, very nicely. And now, as people keep asking me, do I use the same setup as my TT? Yes, I do. I'm using exactly the same setup as you see in my videos. If there's a little bit of tyre heating issues, which there only really is in Hungary, then I just lower the front wing by 1. So if you're sliding around a bit too much, then just lower it by 1 on the front wing. But for me, it's actually been really, really good. It's actually translated really well to online, mainly because I just try and focus with these setups being very raceable in the first place here. But coming through to this corner, I really enjoyed this last sector. Very, very technical. Once again, getting a really good traction coming off here. Goes in a bit deep there, so we just open up the corner. And you'll be able to see the exit gaining quite a lot of time with the traction and just that slightly better line through here. So we're still in P13 in this race, so still got plenty of cars to overtake here. Now we're going to launch the DRS. Got some good straight line speed with this setup as well, so we're going to deploy it, and you can see we're very, very fast in a straight line. So he's going very, very defensive. We decide to let him have this corner. Can't really fit 2 cars going through there. It's just not one of those corners that you can really, really do that. And coming through into here now, so you've got a group of cars up ahead of us, so we're not going to do anything too much here. So we're just going to allow them to have the corner, try and get a switchback. We get 1, we get 2, trying to get 3 down the inside, but this McLaren, man. When someone does something like that, that is probably the most annoying thing ever, because I don't know if he can see me on his screen, but when someone just turns into you like that, it's just the ultimate sign of either zero awareness or no respect at all. It's like he just turns in like I'm not even there. So it's a really, really big slap in the face when someone does that. It basically just says, I have no awareness or respect for you. So, but luckily it didn't cost us too bad, as it looks like the McLaren doesn't really take it well to be overtaken. And you can see we're just going to take advantage of these 2 cars going around the outside. So that was a very, very nice move here. And yeah, this is the thing with open lobbies. A lot of people really just don't want to be overtaken. I was trying to bait him going into the pits, as Sparks does go into the pits, in fact. So they're going to go for a potential undercut here. We're going to use our overtake. And this guy, this McLaren, as I said, he's one of these drivers who just fights tooth and nail no matter what. And he's just going to give it everything to make sure he's not overtaken. Going to this tail 1, still trying to go down the inside here. And we just about made that work. So fair play, he actually left me room there. But yeah, usually that's not a corner where you want to be doing that. But managed to get the move done nicely. Up into P9 now. And let's see how quickly we can catch ESTR Jensen, who's another fairly fast driver who I race with quite often. So let's try and get into a rhythm now in this race. Let's see how good the setup can actually be. Want to avoid those sausage curbs as much as you possibly can. I love this corner. You just have to nail it. If you don't, then you're just going to lose so much time through there. Trying to get a good exit. I'm going to try and get in his DRS zone by the end of this lap, but I decided not to use the overtake, which is a bit strange because looking back in this, I probably would have wanted to use the overtake, but maybe I was just confident that I could catch him going through this last sector as someone else has gone off here. And a bit annoying, the Mercedes is just right here. He does let me go though, which is good. As we're almost losing the car, so you can see if you just get the corner slightly wrong and you hit the curb in an awkward way, then it's really going to punish you in terms of drivability and lap time. So coming across the line, we do our fastest lap of the race of the 32.5. Just trying to conserve the ERS, it looks like, at the moment, as a lot of people have pitted. So I'm going to go for as fresh tyres as possible to do a late charge at the end of this race. And you can see the pace is quite good at the moment. We are catching Jensen pretty quickly now. And let's see what the gap is to ERL Kyle up ahead, who's another pretty fast driver as well. So see that gap is 3.9. We're going to be quite comfortably in the DRS zone here. It's going through to this corner, a very, very tricky corner. Always feels like you can lose the car. There's a severe lack of grip going through that corner there. And into here, want to avoid these curbs. Once again, this is probably my favourite corner on the track. Really enjoy this. You just have to throw it in, otherwise you're just not going to get the lap time in return. And now coming through here, you'll be able to see how powerful this DRS is now. So we see we've got half a second a gap between us, and it is just so powerful going down the straight. You probably could have even overtaken if you used a little bit of the battery power there. So see, we're gaining quite a bit of time now, and I reckon I'll probably go on for another lap as Kyle has made a big mistake here. So see, Veloce Dragon is in the lead. I think the net leaders have pitted, so the Ferrari is going to pit here. So we're going to go on for another lap. We're not going to get the benefit of the DRS because that's just here at the start finish line. So now we're going to use the overtake button, and now we're going to box, and let's see where we come out once we come into the pits. It's coming towards the end of this lap now. Still got Carl right behind me. Coming to a really weird pit entry, to making sure I don't speed too much. And so far I've actually really enjoyed driving this track. It's really unpopular for some reason, but for the F1 games I actually really do enjoy it. It's a very technical track, and you can't cut corners, you can't use the curbs. You can see Bull Beast setting the fastest lap, so they pitted a bit earlier than me. And yeah, I just really have enjoyed it, and I think people should definitely do it more often than not. So coming up here, I'm going to try and get ahead of Jensen here. So we're going for almost an overcut on him, but I decided to turn off the overtake. I'm going to let him actually have this corner here. So see, two cars are not going to fit through here. I can see he's got the battery deployment light on, so I know he's going to be really suffering. You can just see how much faster we are because he's just got no power at this point here. So we're going to let him go in deep on the exit, not even to use any of the overtake. People really enjoy squeezing me coming into this corner, but we just about make it stick here. And he's not going to give me the racing line, which is a little bit annoying because it's a very tight corner otherwise, but we get the move done. And now coming into here, he's probably going to have a good opportunity to actually overtake me going down this straight, because the DRS, as I said, is very powerful. So trying to get a good exit coming off this corner. Really wanted to avoid using the overtake button, but I actually had to deploy a little bit, otherwise he would have overtaken me coming into this corner. So you can see the gap is 10.9 to Fab Ferrari, and it's about, I think, 8.3 to the car behind him. So we definitely have a lot of work to do in the next 3 laps if we want to try and get something out of this race. As we look at start finish line, you can see they've already crossed the line, so we've got a lot of work to do and we need to deliver a lot of pace now. So now we have some fresh laps. Let's see what kind of pace we can do as we set the fastest last sector here, and we're just going to stay on board for the rest of this race just to see once I really get into rhythm in this track, which, as I said, I really enjoy driving. So coming to this turn 1, kissing this curb, can ride on this one, stay nice and tight to the left hand side here, and you can see that gap is slowly starting to come down already. But as I always say, I'm not going to use all of my ERS because I want to try and use it as efficiently as possible for these remaining laps here. So we're not going to go hammer time on this lap. We're just going to just lose a little bit if we can, and I'd rather be consistently faster throughout 3 laps than 1 really fast lap and then 2 slow laps. So that's the kind of approach I do when I do races. So we're not even going to use any of the overtake going down the straight here, and you can see the gap is coming down. Jensen has made a mistake behind, I believe, so we've got no threat from behind, and we actually do a purple middle sector. Managed to navigate that very nicely, get some very good traction coming off here, setup feeling very, very stable. Really have to attack this corner, open it up for the right-hander, and so far it's been a very, very tidy lap. And you can see here, I think we're probably going to set the fastest lap of this race here. So coming through into these corners, 2nd gear, 3rd gear, it's getting some really good traction, and it's a 31.1. Now we're going to use a little bit more of the battery power to see if we can go for an even faster lap here. So just pushing it a little bit more. Tyres should be in still relatively good condition, so really throwing it into this corner, doing that very nicely, and staying nice and tight once again. And this track, as I said, it's really only one line through the corners. You really have to nail it. So going through into here, use all the track on the exit. Very easy to get a track invalidation, as well as we are slightly up on our time here. So about half a tenth up so far. Going through into here as the block box finishes, kissing this curve very nicely, and going to here, as I said, my favourite corner on this track. Doing that fairly well on that occasion. Up into 6th gear, and then down to 3rd, then short shifting into 4th, getting a really good release off this corner, and still no overtake off this corner, because you're still carrying quite a good amount of speed whilst you're doing that. And you can see that gap is coming down very quickly as we do another purple middle sector this time. So going to sector 3, probably the most technical sector on this track. As the crane passes, that's when we want to be throwing it in, sacrifice the entry for a better exit, and we definitely get a much better exit there. And you can see we are gaining very, very quickly on this lead group now. So this just shows, even if you've been taken out or you've been spun round or something like that, this is why you should keep going. This is what honestly I feel helps me improve the most, doing races such as this where I have to brush myself off, get myself back on my feet, and just try and do the best I can in a bad situation. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do here. So again, we're doing exactly the same, just try and keep it nice and consistent for here, not throwing everything at it, but just making sure we're consistent, just about staying on the track here. As Fab Ferrari, I think, has had a little bit of an incident because he has really dropped a lot of time here, and now we're coming up to the 2 cars up ahead here. So I'm going to try and make sure I get in the DRS zone before the end of this lap. So I'm pushing quite hard going through these corners. Definitely did that one better than I did on the last lap here. So pushing quite hard now. I'm going to probably not using the overtake going through here. So again, quite interesting. It's always weird when you actually look at your footage back that you can see you could probably do things a little bit different. But in the moment, I'm probably just thinking I was confident enough to get him in the 2nd sector without using any of the ERS in. You can see by the delta, I think we are probably just about to do that potentially here. So trying to get a good exit coming off this corner. The detection point is at the start finish line, so we should have enough grip to do that, and I believe we're comfortably going to be doing that now. So at the start of this last lap here, might be a few people up ahead who do have penalties as well. So we're going to use the DRS, not using any of the overtake here, and let's see what we can do on this last lap. We've got to overtake this Martin if you want to do it, as these 2 guys are trying to go too wide into there, which, as I said, normally doesn't work. He's got low battery, so we know he's going to be quite slow in a straight line here, and you can see how much more speed we have in a straight line. So trying to get a good exit coming off this corner, using a little bit of the overtake, still being squeezed. Once again, people just love squeezing me coming into that corner. Now we're up behind the Ferrari, who is on the mediums. The guy up ahead of him has 12 seconds worth of penalties, so we could even win this race, depending on how many people have penalties, because this track normally is a penalty galore kind of track here. So coming on to the final DRS zone of the lap, and you'll be able to see how powerful it is once again. So he's using his overtake, but we have the DRS and the overtake. He's under 10% now, and you can see we're just going to fly by and actually get back on the racing line. Been a little bit hit in the rear, doing a purple middle sector because of that. And we're just going to try and gain as much time as possible, as the guy in second actually has a penalty as well. So let's see if we can even win this race, despite what has happened in this race so far. Go give it everything coming up towards the line. So absolutely throwing it into these corners. The leader has now just crossed the line. Where are we going to finish this race? And we come in P2, only 1.7 seconds behind. If we were just a bit quicker through the traffic or just didn't have that incident, then we could have actually won that race. Because I said, normally it's a penalty galore track as well. And yeah, Sochi actually gets a thumbs up from me. I really enjoyed that. Let me know if you are enjoying it as well on this game. Let me know if you think it gets a bad name when it doesn't really deserve to. So thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed the Grand Prix. Thank you so much for the support on the channel, and I will catch you very soon. Peace.